As I sat in a crowded airport recently, after being away from home for 4 days, I was anxious to get home. I had been in a conference for 4 days and I had had an opportunity to speak, and I just was ready to make the transition home. And I thought I was really smart because I had scheduled my flight to take off at 4, which would put me home late at night, but that was okay. I got to the airport, and as I began looking out the window of my gate, I noticed a plane sitting out on the runway. The plane wasn't coming any closer. That's the first indication there's a problem. As I sat there, 5 minutes go by, 10 minutes go by, 15 minutes. I started checking the little sign, plane delayed. First, they gave us a time. Then after a while, there was no more time given. Plane delayed. And our plane continued to sit out on the runway. Finally, they decided to give us some information about the plane. And the information about the plane was that a tow bar broke. And that this was the 3rd time that the tow bar broke. Now, does anybody know what a tow bar does? Many of you in this room are at airports and fly a lot. It was a new experience for me to learn what a tow bar does. The tow bar pushes the plane back off the gate. If there's no tow bar, you don't go anywhere. So, there the plane sat. Now, there were all kinds of other planes and other tow bars right around, but we, at our gate, couldn't seem to borrow one. It took several hours before somebody finally gave us a tow bar. In the meantime, babies were crying, people were fussing, people started getting in line that went all the way down the hallway to reschedule their flights and to find another flight to get on. During that whole time, we weren't given a lot of information. What we were told is we would have to wait for this tow bar. So we finally get a new tow bar. We get pushed out, not very far. We get pushed out from the gate, and the stewardess says, "Is anybody here going to Pensacola?" And we all said, in unison, after waiting for several hours, "We're headed for Maine." She listened a little. Then she says it again. "Is anybody going to Pensacola?" A man, little sheepish at this point, gets up out of his seat, starts looking around, hoping he's not noticed, except he's far enough back that he's got to go by all of us. And he reaches the stewardess. And I happened to be sitting near the front, so I could overhear what he was saying. And he said, "Isn't this plane going to Pensacola?" He never listened. No one listened when the tow bar broke. Something failed. I believe we've lost our passion for listening. No one's hearing us. And because we've lost that passion, we're losing customers, we're losing our businesses, we're losing friends, we're losing families, we're on information overload. No one has a passion for listening. My children can tell when they call whether I'm really listening to them or not. I'll answer the phone, and if I'm working out of my home that day, they hear the keyboard going. And they'll say, "Mom, what are you doing?" Once again, I'm multitasking, so I'll stop and freeze at my computer seat. And I'll start listening. But I get accused of not listening. Even my dog, when I'm working at the house, my dog will go to the door and start barking. And she'll bark, and she'll bark. And finally, when I get so annoyed with her barking, I go to the door and I let her out. And it's kind of like she looks up at me at that point. I have a Labradoodle, and if anybody knows what a Labradoodle is, they're very smart. So she'll look at me and it's like, "So what took you so long? Was that so hard?" Well, today it is hard. It's hard to listen with passion. I love this quote by Robert McCloskey. I know that you believe you understand what you think I said, but I'm not sure you realize that what you heard is not what I meant. I have to say that again to you. I know that you believe you understand what you think I said, but I'm not sure you realize that what you heard is not what I meant. What you heard is not what I meant. We're so busy putting on filters, putting on our judgments, letting other things come in, that we've lost our passion for listening. Right before I came to this conference, I went into a garden shop. And I wanted to buy quite a bit of gardening stuff. I wanted a rose bush and I wanted some hanging plants. And there was a woman in the shop, and I couldn't see anybody else around. There were no other customers. There was only me. And this woman, I walked into the greenhouse, and I said to her, what would work really good in the sun? What plant would really last in the sun? And she barely looked up, and she said, they all will. Well, that was a lot of help. Now, I had quite a bit that I wanted to spend in that garden shop. So I didn't give up, but she got busy watering the plants. A boss came in, and the boss complimented her on how well she was watering the plants. And I stood there, and I thought, isn't this interesting? I'm the customer. The place is empty. But that employee was happier about the boss complimenting her on how she was using the hose to water the plants than what I needed. So I stood next to them, kind of got close to see if they'd notice me. They finally did. And they said, can we help you? And I said, well, I was really wondering what plant here would do well in the sun. She said, oh, any of these. And I said, okay, I have a specific need. And I started sharing what my need was. And I said, she said, did the other woman help you? And I said, no. I said, I had asked, but she didn't listen to me. And she said, wow, very indignant that I would suggest that she didn't listen to me. She said, I have to tell you, we have to keep the plants watered because we can't sell dead plants. And I said, so, you can't sell dead plants, but if you don't have customers, it's not going to matter whether you have watered plants or dead plants. We've lost our passion for listening. And in losing that passion, we lose our customers. So how do we regain our passion? First of all, we start with ourselves. What do we need to listen to about ourselves? What's going on in our minds, the clutter? What's going on in terms of our bodies? What are they telling us? And then begin paying attention to who aren't we listening to? And who do we need to listen to? Next, we need to begin to slow down. We need to just slow down and take it in. If we do those three things, we will begin hearing. We will regain our passion for listening. I want to leave you with a Chinese proverb. A wise old owl sat on an oak. The more he saw, the less he spoke. The less he spoke, the more he heard. Why aren't we like that wise old bird? Listen with passion. Listen with your eyes. Listen with your ears. If you listen with passion, you'll have all you need. Thank you.